All right, so The Smashing Machine, the new Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie, dropped earlier this month. And basically, if you haven't heard, it's a movie on Mark Kerr, one of the early MMA fighters from America, and he's a super good fighter, never loses a fight, and then, surprise, surprise, he loses one, and basically it's a biopic of figuring out all the fallout from that, with like painkiller addiction, toxic relationships, being beatable, all of these different things. It's from Benny Safdie, not working with his brother this time, starring The Rock, Emily Blunt, and I think it's pretty all right. Like, the entire vibe and feel of the movie is very like unsettling. Like, the score is eerie, like everyone's always sweaty, and there's this like gritty film grain and like warm color grading that makes it just feel like we're in this hot, stuffy, gross environment. And then a lot of the movie is just, there's like this toxic relationship between Emily Blunt's character and Dwayne Johnson's character, with just two like selfish people who are broken and are just unreasonable in a lot of spots. And even like the prosthetics of Dwayne Johnson, like they just like look unnatural, and not because the prosthetics look bad or anything, but just because he looks like this abnormally like huge dude. And like looking back at pictures of Mark Kerr, like he doesn't look that weird. And I think in the movie they purposely kind of make him look not human, just in a way that's like a little unnerving, just to unsettle us. And honestly, the entire movie I was like on edge, wondering if he was going to start like beating his girlfriend. And yeah, I don't know, there's just like a lot of tension in this movie, and the Safdie bros, like they're good at that. They're like good at making these uncomfortable, tense movies, and I think they did that very well. And these fighting biopics are always pretty interesting, and especially with this being the time period of early MMA, where the rules and the safety things weren't as fleshed out, but like a lot of interesting questions that come with this Mark Kerr guy, right? Like, what goes on in the mind of a guy who beats people up for a living, right? Like, how do you do that when you're friends with some of your competitors, and like how do you disassociate when you're in the ring? And like there's like some really fascinating stuff that we get to see here. Like they show the thrill of physically dominating someone, and like the thought of being unbeatable, and like how you deal with being beaten. And like he also goes through like a rehab program, and like you kind of go through the self-righteousness feel that comes after a rehab, and like the dynamics of a two-way toxic relationship. And I think the meat of this movie comes in the interactions between him and Emily Blunt's character, Dawn. And like by the end, it's very clear that both Dawn and Mark are flawed and messed up and at fault. And I think usually like biopics, especially with big stars or athletes or singers, like they usually show the damage that like the main character does on the people around them. Like, oh, like big strong athlete or awesome musician, like they neglect the wife and the kids and the stuff, just to dedicate themselves to their craft, and like people feel left behind and feel like unloved. But I think something that I really enjoy about The Smashing Machine is like it goes both ways. It's like more complicated than that. Like Mark Kerr and Dawn's relationship is like dependent, and it's refreshing to see like a take where like they both hurt each other. But I also think a lot of this movie, it's not really in the typical 3-act structure. It meanders a lot, and like partially that's a strength, because I think there's like, it's kind of shot like The Office in some ways, where there's like lingering long shots, and it's like handheld camera movement where we feel like we're like a documentary team just following him around. And so there's like some intimacy in that that's cool. But also like some points in the movie, I'm just like asking myself like, where are we going? And like, what am I supposed to latch on to here? Like the slow-paced peak of life is like interesting for a little bit, but then man, this movie feels really long, and it's only like 2 hours and 3 minutes. So overall, it doesn't change the game. Like Dwayne Johnson is good, Emily Blunt is good too, but nothing that like really blows me out of the water. I feel like there was just a lot of hype saying like, oh, like at the festival, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was a complete transformative whatever, and that's not fully true. I think it's like an okay movie with some interesting stuff in there, but nothing to write home about.